welcome back. I'm really glad you're here. Guess what I've had an increasing number of people ask me about? Barndominiums. So today, let's take a look at barndominiums. What are the pros and cons? Is it something you should consider? Might it be a good fit? Let's check it out. Hey there, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining me today. I had a lot of fun doing some research on barndominiums. And the reason I did this research is because I've had a number of people in the last few months or so ask about, is this something that might be a good fit? Can you build them here? What does it take? What is the process? So let's dive in and see what there is to see about barndominiums. Okay, so first of all, what is a barndominium? A barndominium is an open concept building. It can be made from metal or wood. Essentially, it's where the weight of the roof is carried along the perimeter of the building. So sometimes it's referred to as a pole barn house. So the interior of the structure is going to be similar to a big warehouse. Nice open space in there, really endless design possibilities. But the whole philosophy behind the barndominium is that it's a really big open space in the interior. Now, I'm told that the term barndominium was used first by Chip and Joanna Gaines, because why wouldn't it be, when they turned an existing barn into a beautiful home. Now the term has sort of evolved to mean any kind of metal or wood construction. It could be a simple one-story barn house to something more luxurious, maybe even a two-story home, or maybe something featuring a loft upstairs. All right, now what about finishes? So the living area, the main living area, can include the same amenities, the same comfort features you would find in a regular home. Obviously, it's going to have the same basics of plumbing and electricity. You can go really as big as you want as far as the luxuries and amenities that you would like to include. Like I was saying, you can put that second story on there. You can do vaulted ceilings. You could put a wraparound porch on it. Really anything you want to do, keeping in mind that the basic structure is going to be very open on the interior. So how is this different than building a traditional home? It can be faster. It can be less expensive, of course, depending on what you are building. Barndominiums are generally considered less expensive, but of course that depends on what type of finishes are in the final product, what the square footage is, what the exterior finishes are, and so on. As far as the length of time to build, it can be faster, but we're still dealing with the same supply chain issues, labor issues, labor costs. So it's important to really do some good research on the cost and the time involved. Make sure it's going to fit your budget and your timeline. Okay, are there any downsides? It kind of depends. There's a couple of things to keep in mind. If you like a house that has a really fancy roof line, maybe a barndominium isn't right for you, because it's a lot harder to customize if you want that fancy roof line with dormers or different styles. It's also a much simpler open design. So if you like an interior with a more complex design, a barndominium may not be the right fit. When it comes to the exterior treatments, barndominiums are sometimes not as flexible as traditional builds. Pole barn homes can be finished with metal siding, vinyl siding, board and batten on the exterior, hardy backer. You could add stone, you could add a wainscoting. So there are really cool ways to make the exterior very interesting, very appealing. But again, it's just sort of the philosophy of the design to be simpler. So keep that in mind if you are interested in looking at a barndominium. The question I have been asked a lot, because this is, obviously something to consider when you are building a new home, is will a barndominium hold its value? Now, these are relatively new to the market. The issues that we run into are really a lack of comparables. So if you have a home and the market says, hey, this is a really cool place, yes, a future buyer probably is going to agree as well. But because of the current unique nature of barndominiums, it's a little more difficult to predict how they will increase in value relative to a traditional build. Will they increase in value? Yeah, probably. Just like most of the time, the market is increasing in value. So I think it's safe to say that they will increase in value along with the rest of the market, but really until you have a comparable to tie it to, it's harder to predict. Okay, how about financing? Now this is really something to keep in mind because again of the unique nature of these homes, appraisals may be more difficult if you're getting financing, and not all lenders are going to be excited about something that is this different to the market. That said, working with a local lender for your lot and construction loan, for your long-term financing is probably going to get you a better outcome. I can get you with some of our really, really fabulous local lenders. Have that conversation as you're starting this process. Make sure that you've got all your ducks in a row and you're going to be able to get the appraisal, the financing, all of that good stuff. Okay, what about location? My recent experience with people who are interested in exploring building the barndominiums is they are more likely to want a larger lot, probably not in the middle of town, maybe on the outskirts, which is probably going to work in their favor actually. So some areas may have CC&Rs that prohibit this type of construction, or they may require exterior finishes that add to the cost when the philosophy is kind of to keep those costs down. We've been able to find several local areas that will allow barndominiums, most of the time on larger lots, most of the time in areas that don't have an HOA. However, I do recommend having at least a basic floor plan and elevation so you can match that up with the CC&Rs, or if you need to talk to someone at an HOA, just to make sure that what you want is going to fit in that particular area. Maybe you could do it with some small tweaks. Maybe it's just not going to work at all. That's fine. We'll find you a lot in an area that is going to work where you can build what you want to build. I do recommend having at least a basic floor plan and front elevation ready so you can match it up with the CC&Rs or talk to the HOA if that becomes necessary, just to make sure that what you want to build is going to be allowed and that it's still going to fit within the budget that you want to keep. So we can find you some great places that will allow these types of homes to be built. Let me know if you have questions on that and we can get you hooked up. So is a barndominium right for you? Like most things, it depends, right? But it's certainly an interesting type of construction that is gaining popularity, and it does seem to be a good fit for some people. Do you have questions on barndominiums or any other type of new construction? Leave me a message. Let me know your thoughts. Make sure you're subscribed so you are the first to see this content that we are bringing for you. I am Jennie Hendricks. We'll see you soon.